name is Freyda Black. I'm a resident of Chemung, New York. I'm here with Mothers Up Front, but I'm primarily here as a mother of Dobron Black, my 21-year-old son. My concern is to assure a livable climate for him and for generations that follow him. To accomplish that, as good as this clean energy standard is, and as much as I appreciate the work that has been put into it and the many moves of the government of New York State to ban fracking and to deny a clean water permit to a pipeline, it is unfortunately not going to be enough. Nothing less than moving to 100% renewable energy within the next 2 decades will not be enough to prevent disaster to climate. People of our age may not believe it, but I know my son, who has chosen to go to college to become an engineer, sees what is coming, as do many of his generation, and thinks the answer is to find a way to get off this planet and provide a livable place on a planet that isn't even as good as the one we have here. That is how frightened the millennials are of what we are going to be leaving them. This is not alarmist. The United States has suffered a disinformation campaign waged by fossil fuel corporations in order to protect their profits. Every week, because I listen to news from around the world on the internet, I hear from scientific circles, yet another unexpected tipping point has been reached on Antarctica, in Greenland. We can easily accomplish what many European countries have already accomplished in bringing renewables online, if only we have the will. The claim that cost is a barrier is a specious argument. The cost of climate events are greater. Floods, wildfires, crop losses, domestically, and potential military costs due to international destabilization of climate will be much more costly than anything we spend now to bring ourselves to 100% renewable energy. The gentleman who spoke earlier about the clean energy standard asked for us to bring forward ways to solve this. I have a list of 5, and I believe they will work. Number 1, increase and guarantee long-term NYSERDA grants for home solar and wind generation. I have worked in a Go Solar, in a solarized campaign in New York, and I am very aware by the crowds that come to our presentations of how willing people who have the income are to put solar on their roofs or in their yards or in their fields. If only the NYSERDA grants and the tax rebates are guaranteed. Guarantee long-term tax rebates for the same. Also, make sure on a state level that local townships will not raise the tax assessment on these homeowners who invest because they now have solar arrays. something that many homeowners have expressed as a concern that would then make their investment cost more. Number 3, make NYSERDA grants available for commercial conservation. I've personally spoke to small businesses in my area who are more than willing to cut their energy usage by putting in LED lighting where they have enormous energy expenditures but can't afford to switch over without NYSERDA's help. Make those funds available and they will do it. Number 5, do not allow the building of new power plants using gas or switching over old coal-fired power plants to gas. Others have already expressed the enormous contribution of methane exploration and fracking and pipelines to greenhouse gases. And number 6, prioritize the offshore wind generation that the previous speaker mentioned. A power purchase agreement is exactly what we need to bring the investors in. I personally met and spoke to an investor when I was down in Philadelphia who was ready to build offshore wind off the coast of Delaware and New Jersey. I could bring him here tomorrow if New York State, that's a personal promise from me. I could bring him to New York State within days, and he will promise to build that if you give him a power purchase agreement. In addition, we don't need those nuclear power plants for the baseline generation. There already exist turbines that work with wave generation. In addition to the offshore wind generation, we can put wave generating turbines 24/7. They work on the tides. They're being built today. They can be purchased. That's where New York State's money has to go, and we don't have to worry about whether or not we can get to that 50%. We could get to 100% by 2050 if the will is there. There are innumerable people like me who are willing to work full-time for nothing to bring wind and solar, in particular rooftop solar, to bring people in, to make that investment in their homes. This is an impassioned plea. I wasn't even sure that I was going to have a child, because way back in 1960, when I read about global warming in my weekly reader, I was in 4th grade, and I understood the science. I knew it was coming, and nobody else believed.